We have a good variety of food genres, really, represented across the city. There's multiple types of food available in each different neighborhood, rather than just having the diversity in one city center area. We have consistently growing our restaurant and bar scene, and the community just loves to be supportive of the community.
Hi there. Welcome to the Connecting KC podcast. I'm Rachel Kilmer, also known as Rach the Realtor on the internet, where I love, connecting all things Kansas City. I'm a metro area real estate agent, retired sports reporter, and mom, and probably too old to be calling myself a TikToker, but honestly, that's how we got here. You could learn more at www.rachtherealtorkc.com. But this show is all about introducing you to all of the movers and shakers, interesting people, heartfelt stories, and funny quirks that make this vibrant community home. So let's get right to it with today's episode of Connecting KC. I am so excited to welcome in today's guest, Sarah Sipple. She is the food and drink editor for The Pitch, as well as a content creator. At The Pitch, she also runs their Instagram and the membership program, plus she is the newsletter editor. Her column, KC Sips with 2 Ps, goes live every Thursday morning on The Pitch, covering restaurant and bar news, special events, and everything delicious. After hours, she shares the abundance of KC food and fun a different way through her social media. She loves highlighting the diversity, talent, and fun of our city and the people that make it all happen. Sarah, thank you so much for taking the time to be here today.
Thank you, Rachel. I'm honored.
I am going to ask you the question that probably everyone asks you. How do you become a food writer? It's like got to be on the Mount Rushmore of dream jobs, right?
It is the number one question over and over. And I'm sure everybody's journey is different, but in my case, it was a mix of, I just happened to get a job at a publication that does this. And then once I had the job, it involved a teensy bit of writing. And then I just kind of flowed and some organic things happened. But then I had a background that has writing just riddled throughout it. So that's the two components, is a little bit of background in writing from high school newspaper to starting corporate newsletters everywhere I've worked. And I've always had a blog of some sort, and I started a science writing website, and then and speech writing in high school and college. But then again, like I said, the luck of being hired at a really cool publication in Kansas City. I did not start as a food writer. I started as a newsletter editor, some social media and marketing responsibilities, and one of those responsibilities was the Dish and Drink newsletter. It's a free newsletter that goes out every Wednesday from The Pitch. And it's just all about Kansas City restaurant news. And, we interview chefs and talk about new menus and events and things like that. As I did that newsletter over and over, it just kind of expanded it. And then I realized, hey, this is a lot of really helpful information here to help promote our chefs and baristas and local managers, things like that. And so we expanded it and it became its own column. It's still in the newsletter. And in fact, the newsletter subscribers get to see that content first. And then the next day it comes out as an article or on the Pitch website. But yeah, and then I just kind of started picking up additional food stories, and it just organically happened. So my journey is probably different than others, but it's a mix of luck of being there at the employer and then having a background. Always just been passionate about writing and teaching and honing that craft to really informational style writing. So that's the background for me personally.
I see. So I was a sports reporter for the first part of my career. And so I got that question a lot back then, how do you become a sports reporter? And for me, it was I've dedicated every waking second of my life to this since I was 19. That's how, so, but then there were people that were oh, I was waiting a table of people and they discovered me. So it's everyone's journey is so different.
Absolutely. And I do always follow that answer up with, if you think you're interested in becoming a food writer, I suggest emailing a few sample, going out and trying it just wherever you happen to have dinner the next night or weekend. Write about it, take some photos, and send a little sample to any publication you're interested in. But their contact information for the editor or food editor should be on the website of whatever publication you're interested in, and just send that sample on. And most people are always looking for freelancers. So anyone can try it is what I would say.
I love that. The sky's the limit.
Absolutely.
So are you from Kansas City originally, or did you move here to work for the pitch?
I am from a small town about an hour away in Kansas, Ottawa, Kansas.
Okay.
More like half an hour away, depending on where you're talking about. But so I grew up in a smaller town, but Kansas City has always been like the city and where we do all the big shopping and restaurants and date nights. And I like to look back and kind of laugh at my Facebook posts from, 10 years ago, maybe 15 years ago even, saying, hey, my husband and I or my boyfriend, whatever at the time, are going on a date night. What would you recommend? And I just love looking back and seeing what restaurants are still there, which ones I've tried now, things like that. So I've been in Kansas City for a while, spent most of my life in Ottawa.
Yeah. So how long have you been with the pitch now then?
Just over a year and a half.
Just over a year and a half, and a recent promotion. Congrats. Tell me about your promotion and like your role with the pitch. It seems like you wear a lot of hats. What's your a regular week for Sarah like at the pitch?
Yes, I do wear a lot of hats. It's just it's a small and scrappy organization, but everybody is so dedicated and talented. So we really do wear a lot of hats. But I was just named the food and drink editor for the pitch. And what that means, especially right now, is just to help guide the overall tone and expectations of our food and drink coverage for Kansas City. So some of my pillars are, making it probably 85% focused on locally owned establishments. And then with the little 15% wiggle room for, just fun and interesting things like, for example, when the Taco Bell Cantina opened in Westport, that's not a local thing or unique, but, it's fun and we wanted to talk about it. So yeah, guiding the overall tone and scope and mission of the pitch food coverage, especially going into our Best of Kansas City issue, which comes out in November. Obviously, the entire community votes for their favorite, and we all don't know what that's going to be yet. We're currently in our nomination round through the end of July, but as a staff, we get to pick some of our favorites and decide what we want to talk about. And that's what we're in discussions for right now. Like, how on earth do we take all of the Kansas City area food and drink scene and whittle it down to a few core topics for that issue? And that issue is, it's stocked for a long time at the airport store, and people keep it on, their coffee tables for at least half a year. So we really take that content very seriously. But a day-to-day, day or weekly look it's pretty varied depending on what restaurants are having openings or events. And then, but the staples are our daily newsletters. I create those and do whatever's writing is necessary for those, curate the stories for each of the daily free newsletters. I do our Instagram posts. So curating what I think will do well on Instagram and what's a good snapshot of our community and our news. Even if I don't think it's going to perform well, I want to still have a good diverse sampling of our coverage there on social media, as well as collaborating with our design team and helping them help with creating ads for our events and just fun social media posts. And then other things like connecting with our members, writing some behind the scenes content for our pitch members, just checking in with all the different facets of the organization.
Mm-hmm. Super cool. Sounds like it's like something different every week, which I love that kind of job. But what is unique about the Kansas City food scene as opposed to maybe other similar cities? Have you been traveled enough to kind of be able to compare and contrast? And what do you love and what's unique here?
Well, I'm currently sitting in Dallas, not Kansas City, but I'm here for our publications, our peer conference. It's called Association of Alternative News Media. And this is the second year that I've attended this. And the feedback we always get is, how does Kansas City stay so positive and supportive of its local businesses? They, as in other cities, are floored by the growth that we've seen when other cities are taking, dips and dives and struggling, but we have consistently growing our restaurant and bar scene, and the community just loves to be supportive the community. So that is the number one differentiator. And I will say we have a good variety of food genres really represented across the city. There's multiple types of food available in each different neighborhood rather than just having the diversity in one city center area. So those would be the two things that are strong about Kansas City and unique, special.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I've definitely traveled places where I've been like, because like when I travel, I make it a goal to not eat chains. Like I want to eat everything local.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But then I've been to cities where it's like, well, I guess I'll just eat Applebee's. Like there's nothing here, you know? So like, I think we are spoiled and just don't even realize it. You know, the other thing is we do have a lot of food diversity like you talked about. So it drives me nuts when people come to Kansas City and then only eat barbecue. I'm like, yes, we have amazing barbecue, but like, I feel like our food scene is so slept on if you're not here and don't know about it. Like, do you think people from other parts of the country realize what we have if they're not in the food, you know, the foodie community? I just feel like it's like we're underrated for our food scene, right?
I think we're probably underrated. That people definitely associate us with barbecue and then possibly beer, but we have so many distilleries. We have so many wonderful Thai places. There is really a variety, but yeah, I bet, you know, all of our attention's on barbecue. So,
Which it is amazing. I'm not talking about barbecue, but do you have a favorite time of year for the food scene here? Like, is there a certain time of year that more restaurants tend to open, or that like maybe it's restaurant week? Is there like a certain time of year, like this is the Super Bowl for the Kansas City food scene?
Well, the restaurant week in January is a very big deal. The Kansas City Restaurant Association, I think, something like that. Restaurant week, it's a very big deal, but unfortunately, you have to kind of know what you're doing. Like, you have to know about it ahead of time to be able to get reservations at the places. But the other thing I really love, and this is the shameless self-promotion, is our pitch food weeks, because throughout the year, we have like highlighted food weeks that celebrate just different genres. So this week, currently through July 23rd is Burger Week, and which means half price burgers at 16 different places. But coming up next in September is Dessert Week. And so we'll have, you know, at least a couple dozen or at least a dozen or so half price desserts all around the city. So that's really fun. But honestly, I think that my answer would just be summer, because I love when restaurants release really fresh and Midwestern seasonal local menus. In the summer, I love patio options. Summer is my favorite food time.
Yeah, it makes sense. The pitch, I think, is such an interesting entity in Kansas City, because it has like such this like almost hipstery, like cool kid vibe to the pitch that they've curated and like managed to keep for all these years. Like, I just recently did a Taylor Swift themed event, and the pitch covered it leading up. And I can't remember if you guys covered it after or not, but like all the TV stations were there. But I think I was most excited about the pitch. You know, like what is it like working for a company that has such a great reputation that's so like, you know, synonymous with Kansas City's culture?
It is very unique, and I'm very lucky. It's edgy. We're able to do and say things that other places aren't. That doesn't mean that we all agree on everything ever. It doesn't mean that everybody fits whatever lifestyle or reputation people may assume. We're very inclusive in that sense, that whatever your boundaries are, we respect those. But yes, in general, we are able to cover things and talk about things in a way that others aren't. And it can be polarizing. I absolutely recognize that. But for the people that want to see that like the type of journalism that's not backed by a corporation that's based in another city and has, you know, some motives. Yeah, we're just not bound by that. And so we're able to be different. And it's been that way. There was a couple times when we had bigger ownership. You know, since the early 80s, we have maintained that edginess. And, you know, we're all people who live here and love it and want to celebrate it. And sometimes celebrating it, honoring the community, means looking into things and questioning things. We walk that line of celebrating, questioning, and really just loving the city and telling it like it is. So
super cool. Okay, I have a couple of logistical questions. So first one is, I have a friend, a real estate client that is like one of the biggest foodies I know. And I was with her not long ago, and she opened up her phone and like showed me her notes app with her checklist of restaurants. And I was like, girl, like that is the most elaborate thing I've ever seen. So How do you track all the places you've been, all the places you want to go? Do you have a spreadsheet or is it the notes app? What's your method to the madness?
I do have my notes app, a little running list. And then I don't know if I still have it, but even before I started this job, I had a list in my phone of like a little broken down into a couple categories, because people would always ask me what to do for date nights. And so I would have a thing, if you want an activity date night, here, do this. If you want a fancy date night, do this. So yeah, Notes app is so key. And then other than that, I really just refer back to my own column and press releases to keep track of what's opened, because I don't go to every single place that's opened. I would only go if they were to invite me, or if there was to be, if something I'm super duper excited about. Referring to my own column and our press releases and emails, and then, just my Notes app when I think of something or hear a good recommendation.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then that brings me to the next question. How do you have time to go to so many places? Because like when you do your weekend recap, I'm like, she was everywhere. And that's on top of your job, stuff you have to cover for your job. Do you eat out like more than the average person, you think? Or how do you strategize?
I think we do. Yeah, I think we do eat out more than, and when I say me, I mean my spouse and I think we do eat out more than most people, partly because I have the excuse of my job and wanting to try new places or revisit favorites. And then we live downtown, and so we just have access to so much through by foot or on the streetcar or bus right now. So it's the access, it's the excuse that I'm happy to lean on, that I need to be trying new places and seeing what's out there. So yeah, it's a lot. I'll say that our grocery budget is sometimes smaller than our going out budget. So it comes at a cost, but I'm happy to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Someone's got to fall on that sword. Is your husband a foodie too? And has he always been, or did you have to convert him?
He is not so much a foodie. He definitely knows what he likes, and he's adventurous when he needs to be. When he knows it's important to me, or when we're traveling, he's a little more adventurous. So yeah, there's every now and then I just know, hey, he's not going to want to go to this with me. I need to ask a friend to go to this opening or to try this place. So
it helps with the budget a little bit. You don't need to pay for 2 meals if you're not even going to like it that much. So
exactly.
So normally when I end this podcast, I ask people what's the best meal they had recently. But I feel like we need to expand on that with you, because this is literally your bread and butter. I want to break it down a few ways. Like I want to do like, what's your favorite like casual meal you've eaten? What's your favorite like mid-tier? And then what's your favorite fancy meal you've eaten recently? If I can just put you on the spot like that.
I'm just going to stick to the last couple weeks. Favorite, just like easy casual go-to is swinging by the Fix in Midtown, like Martini Corner specifically, and picking something up. It's just like kind of junk food. It's plant-based, but you wouldn't really know it. But whether it's a hot dog or a fried chicken sandwich or something, picking it up from the Fix and taking it to go, it's always under $20 and very satisfying. And then mid-tier would be barbacoa. It's new this year, I believe. It's about 55th and Troost, and it is small plates, Mexican style, American Mexican barbecue type food. But I went with a group, and we ordered like 90% of the entire menu and shared everything, and we were all wowed. Like there were a few things we loved so much we ordered it again. So that would be my like mid to little bit high tier meal recommendation. Definitely a favorite lately. Lastly, a little bit higher end would be Wild Child, which is open now in Shawnee. It's a cocktail bar, but it also has wine and then no alcohol cocktails. So it's very inclusive in that sense, and it's reservation based. But I say it's on the higher end because you are going to want to order quite a few things, because they're so unique and creative that it's just fun, and it's hard to just walk in and order 1 or 2 drinks. And especially knowing that some of them are alcohol free, you can have a few more and still be safe. So that would be my higher end recent favorite. But then also you park down there in Shawnee downtown area, and there are multiple breweries like Service Brewery and brand new Friction Brewery and Transport Brewery. and there's a sushi place. And so anyways, it's just a fun area to park and then walk around, just like bar hop or grab some snacks. And so, yeah, a night in downtown Shawnee is an unexpected new favorite.
Yeah, who would have thunk? I love it. Those are great recs. I should have known. Like I was literally quietly typing and taking notes as you were.
Oh,
so I'm excited. Okay, so last thing, Sarah, before we hop off, where can everyone find you, find your column, all the socials, all that good stuff?
The column is called Casey Sips with 2 P's, obviously after my last name, and it comes out every Thursday morning on the pitch. And, you could somehow remember to check the website on Thursdays, but I sure would not. So I tell people to set up a Google alert for the word, like in quotes, the word Casey Sips with 2 P's. That way you'll just get alerted when it's released just once a week. And again, that's just on the pitch website. It's free. There's some like pop-ups, but that's just to get you to sign up for our newsletters, but it's free. And then on Instagram, I'm at Sarah Sipple, which is SarahSipple. But on TikTok, it's Sarah.Sipple. So TikTok and Instagram are my favorite. It depends on the day, which is my actual favorite, but I'm active on both of those.
Love it. Love it. Well, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. It was so fun to get to know you, and we'll have to grab a bite together sometime because I know you had all the good things to order. So
that's a great idea. I look forward to that.
All right. Thanks, Sarah. Guys, thank you for listening. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for joining us today. If we haven't already, let's connect. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Pinterest, LinkedIn, and TikTok at Rach the Realtor KC. We're back right here every Thursday morning with a new guest on Connecting KC. See you next time.